1, 2, 3 o in questo caso potremmo dire 1, 2, 3 perché stiamo online, stiamo live di nuovo, ma questa mattina intervistiamo Marcia Stepanek della Columbia University. Marcia ci ha mandato un po' di materiale per discutere insieme e una delle cose che mi ha colpito di più di quello che mi ha mandato è un piccolo video molto breve che vi vorrei far vedere prima di iniziare la discussione, che è inerente un video che è stato realizzato da Dove. Dove esiste anche in Italia, saponette, insomma, profumi, una cosa di questo genere. Sapete bene qual è la marca Dove, quella che ha forma di colomba. E vorrei farvelo vedere e poi iniziare la discussione con Marcia proprio da questo video. Tenete conto che è un video inerente agli ospedali italiani, realizzato da Dove America Canada, quindi è molto interessante che proprio un'azienda americana abbia usato le fotografie degli italiani per fare uno spot, sostanzialmente un'operazione pubblicitaria. Ve lo mando in onda se funziona tutto quanto, non so se riesco a farvi vedere il tutto e lo faccio partire in questo momento. Molto interessante, grazie a Marcia, che adesso chiamerei, dovrebbe essere in collegamento da New York se non mi sbaglio, and from now on we have to speak in English because io parlo solo italiano, Marcia, capisci? Non capisci?
Thank you.
Ok.
Poco.
Thank you very much to be here. It's a very good to have you again here. You came a couple of times at the Festival of Fundraising. You remember that? You already came in Italy.
I do, and you've got a wonderful group there, and I'm most honored to be here today.
So, Marcia, we have a kind of situation, a routine. We exchange an apple because my last name is Menandi and Mela is in English is apples. I have to give you the apple. So don't show the apple because I'm giving to you the apple right now, and you got it.
Thank you.
You got the email. Okay, you got the apple. Thank you very much, Marcia, to be here. We are drinking the last couple of coffee for this morning. With the very famous cap of the fundraising, maybe you can see what is written under the cap is fundraising is about people. Yeah. It's about dialogue. It's not a monologue. It's a great quote, I think. So I'm drinking with you.
I love it. It's really all about human connection, and especially now, obviously, it's got to be about connection.
You are a professor at Columbia University, and you are teaching design for fundraising, yes? Design for digital fundraising.
Storytelling for social impact, digital fundraising.
For social impact. What I'm asking to you, I'm sorry, but I have to ask you to speak as much as low as you can. So it's going to be very, in your honor, I put also my t-shirt, my Columbia t-shirt. You see, look at that, Columbia SIPA, School of International and Public Affairs, where we are colleagues, and you of course are not an adjunct professor. You are much more than me, but I'm honored to be with you this morning. So you are teaching, and also you are not teaching that, but you have also a company.
Yes. So I teach digital fundraising. I also teach digital storytelling, which is the new fundraising.
Digital storytelling. Yes.
Social media. Yeah. Social media and how to use social media to connect more successfully make that human connection during, well, especially now, troubled times.
Yeah. So you are speaking and you are teaching that. I think it's something very, very important for us to know better the trends and the evolution about social media around the world, especially in this COVID, in the, you say virus, we said virus, the virus of the virus 19. Actually, virus is a Latin word, so you have to say virus, not virus, okay?
Virus.
That's correct. That's great. Thank you, Marcia. Before I connect with you, before this moment, I show a video that you sent me. I think it was an incredible video about Dove.
Yes.
Dove, we have Dove also in Italy. Is a profit company. Is producing soaps and stuff like that. Why do you think it's so important, that kind of video?
It is an example of a for-profit brand, but all brands, even nonprofits right now, to sell something or to ask for money when people, because of this virus, are not making money because companies have had to close their doors or see sales go way down. Social media is now, because everyone is having to stay at home, one of the safest options for interpersonal connection. And so social media is having a moment right now. It's being leveraged and used for what one of the initial aspirations for social media had been, which is human connection. But what is different now is that as people are socially isolated, it's truly serving as a tool for creating real and authentic human experiences and connections in a way that we haven't seen before in the nonprofit sector.
So what are you saying, if I'm trying to understand better? You're saying that since non-profit cannot fundraise in this moment, and also a profit cannot sell products right now, probably the best way to stay with their clients or donors is not to try to sell, but try to involve in some way.
Absolutely. And in fact, that is what social media has always been about. But companies and nonprofits have not been using social media that way. Social media has always been about making a human connection, but it hasn't been used to its fullest potential in that way by for-profit brands and nonprofit brands. And by that, I mean...
So it was used for what up to now?
Oh, asking people for money, telling people that their products are wonderful, or talking about themselves and their work. But it was never really about sharing a human connection. We saw a little bit after 9/11.
9/11.
Yeah. Where
I'll give you just a minute. I want to speak about 9/11. You sent me a slide. It's about social media is having a moment right now. Maybe we can share it. Social media is having a moment right now. It is being leveraged and used for what I think all of our initial aspirations were for social media to create human connection. That's right. Your idea, and you insist on that.
This is what's happening in the field as we survey a lot of these companies and nonprofits. People are coming together in this crisis in a way that we haven't seen before. And because everyone is living in quarantine, social media is a huge part of driving that connection. Part of this coming together means acknowledging the full spectrum of the human experience alongside this uptick.
You said that 9/11 was very similar. 9/11 is the disaster of the two towers, yes? And what do you think is the same situation? It's much more, you think it's much more close to the 9/11 situation than to the 2008 situation, the financial crisis of Lehman Brothers? What do you think about it? And what happened after 9/11 to those who asked money, even there was in crisis? Everything was crisis.
No, great question. 9/11 was, at least for New Yorkers, a very shared, personal, devastating experience. But unlike what we're seeing now with the pandemic, with COVID, COVID is shared by everyone and all around the world. And so there's an even deeper need for that human connection. Let me explain. In the nonprofit sector, one of the biggest lessons out of 9/11 was not to stop fundraising after this, but to do it in a connection kind of way, understanding and signaling and messaging that you understand.
And did it work or not?
Together, it worked.
It worked very well. So they kept doing fundraising during 9/11.
Yes, but unlike 9/11, it's hard to believe, but social media was not really around then.
Okay.
Now it is, and it's driving this demand almost for this human connection in new ways that we have not seen before. So when you can't sell your products so much anymore, and when you can't really ask for money in the same ways that you've done before, coming together is what people are saying they need. They want to connect. They like your nonprofit, but everyone is hitting them up with the same messages. And those messages, for the most part, are not personal.
So what you are suggesting is this is not the right moment to fundraise. This is the right moment to stay together in some way. What happened exactly? Tell me more about the Dove movie. So why do you think is a completely change of paradigm? So why is a completely change of situation? Because Dove normally, what used to do when it wants to promote a product or a service?
Well, it was interesting what you just said, that it's not a time to fundraise, but instead a time to come together. Fundraising is a time to come together.
It's time to come together. What do you say?
Fundraising needs to be reframed as a time to come together all the time. It's not just, you know, read my message, listen to me. It's about, we are in this together for a good cause.
Okay.
And so the opportunity now for nonprofits, and one that is starting to be very successful, is when the nonprofit is asking people in their homes to share selfies of themselves, to share their experiences of themselves.
To share a personal situation.
Yes.
To share something that happened to you in your home, in your garden, in your life, but it's not anymore a production of something, a production of a movie, a production of a picture, a production of an ad, but
about
something that
a product. Yeah.
It's something that you receive. So
That's
the very newty is that Dove, for the first time, received that kind of picture from people who send them. Why?
Dove had done a very good job in the last 2 years of marketing itself as a supporter of women, real women, for example. And it did that because most of the products it sells are sold to women.
So
right?
Dove was already implied in cause-related marketing, in social responsibility.
That's correct.
Was already a good brand, let's say, a good with the two fingers.
And many nonprofits, as you know, are very much aligned with women's causes, right? The education of women and girls, the elevation of women and girls. And so when Dove started receiving from its, just over its email, selfies of women who were in the hospitals risking their lives to help patients with the virus. It said, oh my goodness, we are known for women's causes, and here, right in our lap, is the cause of today.
Yeah, I understand that. You sent me another. Tell me. I'm sorry. Did I interrupt you?
Well, so it then, Dove then put together these selfies. And because its slogan 2 years ago was "Real women are beautiful."
So the slogan of Dove was already "Real women are beautiful."
Beautiful. And now with these selfies, courage is beautiful.
Courage is beautiful.
And it was wonderful. And some nonprofits jumped into the act. And then Dove started giving some of its cause money to support nonprofits and women healthcare workers.
But they really didn't sell the product. They positioned themselves. That's the idea.
They aligned themselves with the interests of their customers and their audience.
Yes.
And it was customer first, audience first.
So if I understand correctly, there is another slide that you send me is about what you do and say, your brand, and how people feel. So Dove and also the nonprofit organization have to think about that. That's correct?
Very much so. This was always the case, that the brand is not just a logo. It is now, are you walking the talk on the causes that you believe in?
Are you walking the talk? Can you explain me better this?
Are you acting in your actions aligned with what you say you believe in?
Yes.
And because global trust in all institutions is at a historic low. And nonprofits, while they are generally more trusted than companies, in the last 2 to 3 years in this country, as well as some others, are not trusted. And the reason they're not trusted is because a growing number of people who are donating and a growing number of people who are buying don't feel that the brand cares about them.
Also the nonprofit brand or just the profit brand?
Both brands now.
Both brands.
And part of that reflects the increase in all of the different kinds of issues now that have become nonprofit causes. So
you send me, tell me.
Oh, I was going to say, what we're seeing more and more of is cause marketing. I see a nonprofit always as a cause. It was created to correct something across society, to help people. It's always been a cause. But because the trust factor over the last decade, and especially in the last 2 to 3 years, has been dissolving, a lot of companies are partnering with nonprofits to convey their values around certain causes that are resonant with their customers. And
you sent me also another slide that I think is important about the looking for daily updates. Why do you think this is Italy, over there, South Korea, Brazil? What does it mean, that slide?
So what this means is that because everyone is being sensitive now, nonprofit brands and for-profit brands are starting to listen and know that they must listen to their customers and to their supporters, that they have to start caring about them and showing that they care. They started surveying people. So Dove and other brands, nonprofits as well, are surveying people. What do you need to hear from us? How can we help you during this crisis? And one of the big responses across the board in all of these countries, including the United States, was, we don't trust the media so much. We don't trust our governments so much. But we like you because you stand for a cause. We trust you a little bit.
But
here's
those are
what
the
we want.
statistics about the nonprofit organization, or those are the general statistics?
That includes for-profits and nonprofits. And what's so interesting is that because this cause marketing trend has been going on now for a while, and because nonprofits are becoming more numerous, the trust of people generally in these organizations is not as bad as it is for governments and other folks. So they're now looking toward companies and they're looking toward nonprofits for trusted information during this crisis.
There is a great opportunity for nonprofit organization because
Absolutely.
we are much more reliable than government, than, you know, I think also your situation is pretty much similar to ours. So everybody is promising everything, thousands and thousands of dollars to everybody. But at the end, did you see some dollars in your home or not?
Well, what many of my clients are understanding now is when we have started to listen and ask people to share their experiences or their tips, or you know, what's a good way to teach your kid at home, you know, homeschooling, for example. Do you have any tips for our crowd? So we've been doing some Zoom conversations, but we've also been asking people to just take a picture of the family, or on Easter, share your Easter bonnet, or simple things like this. But also we're finding is that social media is now evolving into a space that broaches heavier subjects as well. So we found that when we've been doing this with a broad spectrum of nonprofit clients, we don't have to ask. We are getting $10, $20, sometimes hundreds of dollars without asking, as a thank you for caring. It's a phenomenon, but it teaches us for now, and certainly after this crisis lifts, that let's start using social media to truly be interactive, not just say it's an interactive thing, but to treat it like a valuable collaboration for social good that can help to sustain us and also do some social good as well.
And do you have any other example of that? Any other things that we can copy and we can take inspiration from your job? Because we said that your secondary job, I think, your primary job, another one. Secondary job is to teach at Columbia University, but you're first of all an entrepreneur, and you are running a company, communication company, specialized in social story, in stuff like that. And BrandStories is your brand, basically.
Yes.
And do you have any other idea? You said to me that you have a couple of clients that are airlines, so Delta and who else?
Yes, so Delta and Ralph Lauren and some other people out there who are seeing sales, of course, plummet.
Yeah, of course.
But
you did something specifically for you. You show that you want to tell us?
We experimented with this. We saw these trends. And so my company also, this was before all of us were ordered to stay at home. Some of us said, wow, seeing Central Park empty we got to get some photographs of this, right? So we started walking around all of the formerly crowded streets of New York. And we started seeing a lot of signs in the window, homemade signs, clever signs.
And so you pictured the signs.
So we took some photographs of it.
And that's an idea to show a different kind of production. It's not anymore the movie, it's not anymore the ad that you can show on the television, stuff like that. But it's basically something that you produce using people.
Just like exactly. A selfie.
Can I show that?
Stars is, you know, to show what is happening in society is a story too. And well, let's show it and you can see how we aligned with it as a brand.
I'll show it right now.
So obviously this is new to me, and I'm 52 years old. I've been trying to focus on things I care about and staying active.
I'm surprised by the fact that I am getting antsy because I am a homebody and this is right up my alley. I go out on a run every day. I go and exercise just that way I can change out of my pajamas.
We have a balance that we're trying to strike between inconvenience and keeping everybody safe.
I have a cousin who's a nurse who was working with coronavirus patients, and she contracted it, and she said that she went through the worst 3 weeks of her life. I think it's really easy as Americans to just say, like, I'm gonna stay outside and I'm not gonna stay inside because you can't tell me what to do. This is a free country.
I'd rather err on the side of caution than going back early and potentially getting sick.
That this is the first time that a nonprofit organization has not to make a brochure, has not to make a production, but that just has to use any other piece of information that comes from the street, from the home, from everybody.
Yeah,
that's the idea.
It's not the first time. There have been nonprofits always talking about social good, right? But what the problem is that many of us have been receiving emails from every brand and every business and every nonprofit, with whom we've ever done business or ever donated, right? And as these messages have begun to inundate our inboxes, fill them, crowd them, people were starting to get very annoyed. And it was because there was no personalization. There was no, it was like a mass email and it was a little tone deaf. And so finally, what nonprofits had started to do since social media was becoming into the society is it took this virus, it took this pandemic to basically teach people that it's interactive. It has to be interactive, and to start listening to their.
How do you feel that you worked in the digital world and you did culture for digital fundraising and digital communication for 20 years, and you get much more results in 5 weeks than 20 years, the last 20 years. Do you feel depressed? Do you feel happy? What do you feel?
Well, I don't agree with you because...
you don't agree? Oh, that's great.
I know, but I recognize the irony and I'm kind of teasing you a little bit. But I have pioneered training in the nonprofit sector on digital media. And for many years, I remember the first classes I was teaching about social media, they put me in a room, and this was not Columbia, this was NYU at the time. They put me in a room without any Wi-Fi.
For everybody is New York University.
Yeah, New York University.
Yes.
And they put me in a classroom without any Wi-Fi because people didn't understand.
So you were teaching digital fundraising in a class without a Wi-Fi. That's correct?
Yes. And I was one of the first in the country to start teaching social media in the nonprofit sector. So from that experience 14 years ago to now, I have been very fortunate and very proud of my students who have gone on to create some of the new nonprofits or start working for some of the older nonprofits and making change inside. So I feel that I've planted many seeds, and
yeah, that's right. That's right.
Our mentoring, as you know,
I'm speaking
yourself.
about the speed of the revolution that happened in these last 5 weeks. That was incredible.
It has
because
been,
everybody are ready to do a master online. Everybody are ready to do working online, remote working.
It forced them. It forced them. I had people that I had.
Them, yes.
My clients, nonprofit and for-profit, were saying, "Oh, you mean I have to learn how to use Zoom?
Yeah,
you mean I have to get what other social media platforms?" Actually, why don't you bring up that slide that shows the statistics? It was a sudden surge in social media usage that has helped to catalyze some of this personalization through social media.
Tell me more about this. You said that since the outbreak...
Since the outbreak...
70% of all consumers around the world are spending more time on their smartphones.
On their smartphones, yes. And because smartphones are cameras, selfie usage is way up. And it's not just, here's me in New York looking at sightseeing. It's mainly, here's the signs on the doors. Here's our Easter bonnet. Here's our family. Here's my son who's invented a game for us. Or people are starting to share their favorite podcasts. So you think that a nonprofit
organization has to use much more that kind of piece, that kind of stuff? You think that it's the moment to stop, to produce, and to begin to use the stuff that is coming from donors?
To begin
from people?
To begin doing that or to continue doing that?
To continue
some
doing
people
that.
had started. For example, one of my clients is St. Ignatius Loyola on Park Avenue. It's a Roman Catholic church. It's one of the biggest in the United States. And what they have learned from this is faith is not just about, I hear you, it's walking that talk. It's demonstrating your faith in public service. That's a big part of their brand. So when you have kids taking food to an old person's house,
and then you make a picture, and then you do something
and make
about
a picture, and then ask the doorman to go and take a picture.
Of real life.
To take a picture of him delivering that to that old lady, for example, and the smile on her face, and sharing that faith in action, not in a boastful way, but saying, you believe, now you're practicing your faith.
You are saying at the end that social media through a metamorphosis, something like that.
Very much so. And it really is about trust, and it's about proving to those people you call your donors, and proving to your customers the game has changed. People now, and I would suspect going forward, you can't just push out an ask anymore. It's got to come from a collaboration with your audiences.
Yeah, absolutely.
To together work
even
for
much more than
cause.
We did already in the past.
Absolutely.
The last things, we already over 30 minutes. We usually have this conversation for 30 minutes. But since I have you, I want to use you as much more as I can. And you said, give me 3 advices, 3, 2, 3, 5, whatever you think is useful for the nonprofit organization and the new ask, something like that. Tell me some information about that. Just 3 or 5 or whatever you have.
The first thing to do is to build an internal team. Some of this starts with better internal communication. So many, almost 90%, I don't care if they're famous or small, large.
So an internal team to do what?
Your story touches everything. It touches your fundraising, your operations, your programs.
So an internal team to prepare story, to collect story, to raise a story.
To see that your public face now, and proof of the authenticity of your cause and passion for it is all going to be reflected not in what you say, but the impact that you're having.
Not to do fundraising, but to do story raising. I would say that fundraising is much more story raising, something like that.
Just share your impact, not just say we're having impact, to prove it because of this trust factor.
With the smartphone of the people, with the smartphone of everybody.
Smartphones help when you can't go outside. But I suspect that once we can go outside again, we will have a lot more interactive communication. And we're already seeing it now on all these platforms. TikTok used to be just for the kids, right? Now it's talking and sharing about all different kinds of subjects.
Second suggestion.
Second suggestion. Okay. To start using data to measure your impact.
Yeah, okay.
You know, and so many say they will, but it's in the dollars that they've raised. No, that's what you're getting in exchange for your impact. That's your value. But how are you proving that value? Because of that trust factor, you have to prove it now in numbers and social impact. We don't sell toothpaste, but we sell social impact. Let's put it that way.
Third suggestions.
The third suggestion is start listening. Your best examples of social impact are in the people that support you, in the communities that you have. You're not just wonderful because you are working for a cause. It's not about you, is the third suggestion. It's not about you. It's about the people and the change that you are catalyzing. And the only way people are going to know about the change you are catalyzing is if you start talking about it and sharing stories on the platforms where your people are able to see them.
Yes.
Not in the way you're seeing them, the way they are watching.
So, Marcia, tell me something that you think the Italians and the nonprofit organization that you know a little bit because you came already a couple of times in Italy and we have a connection, we speak sometimes. Do you think, what do you think we miss in the nonprofit world? What do you think we can do better? Or maybe something that we can do, we are doing better than you.
I think for all of the nonprofit sector, it has to be, I think on one hand, what I've already said, it has to be, it's not about an organization saying, give me a check, write me a check, and I'll take care of it. Because of technology and because we have smartphones in our pocket, our behaviors are changing as a people. We expect to be asked. We expect to be invited to participate. And because we have these, we have a new rhythm around the way we communicate. And we expect our organizations to communicate with us in those ways. And when they don't, it's starting to signal that it's not transparent. Starting to signal you don't care if you're not talking to me. So there's been this incredible demand now with the virus. If it wasn't clear before, it's very clear now.
Okay.
People have different expectations.
Thank you, Marcia. Thank you very much. You're gonna comment. You're gonna comment all the Facebook that we're gonna receive. So you're gonna answer to the questions that you're gonna receive on the Facebook. Yes.
I'd be delighted. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
we've got a lot of statistics and examples.
Yeah, you can share that kind of information. We are on Festival of Fundraising and on Facebook and YouTube. Okay. So you have to give me back the apple.
Oh, okay. So here it is.
Because it's my apple, so give it to me. Yes, I got it. Okay. So I got back the apple. Thank you very much.
A big apple from the Big Apple.
Yeah, the big apple from the Big Apple. And God bless you and see you next time.
Be safe. Thank you.